EA Interviews, episode 139.
Inspiration, transformation, success stories, and the Imperfect Action Round. 7 days a week. Join Mario Ficini for today's Expert Authority Effect interview.
Message that is on your heart, that just pulses through you, every fiber of your being, that you just can't wait to share with the world. Do you feel like you've been playing small or medium or big, but just know there's another level? You see the people on TV, the celebrities, the actresses, everyone on all the TV shows, and you think, how do I get to that level? What are they doing? What is the secret? Well, Expert Authority World, how would you like if I brought the VIP guest who was helping those people, like Michaela Phillips, like Will J., like Harper Grace, not only get there, but once they are, how is he bringing out the best in them? Having MTV, Chanel, American Idol, X Factor, and The Voice seek him out. What are the secrets to being able to be on a platform that large and share your message? I can't wait to bring to you consultant, speaker, the
How
human
would you like to
hitmaker,
grow your wealth easier
Mr.
than
Jonathan
you think with the
George,
change you
right
probably
after we
don't
thank
notice anyhow
our sponsor.
automatically? That's why I started the compounding interest snowball investing with Acorns and advise you do too. Get started simply and easily today at eainterviews.com/acorns.
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan George. How are you feeling today, Jonathan?
Awesome. Good to be here. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody.
So tell me, what made you want to get into this business? How did it all come about?
Well, to start off, I mean, I've been in this industry for 20 years, but much more longer than that, actually. But my dad is a Pentecostal minister in Dallas, Texas. And so I was raised in the church in music. My grandma has like 4 albums out, like unbelievably talented family. For me, I moved out to Los Angeles in 2000 to start my own, record. I wanted my record deal. I was out here to make it happen as a singer-songwriter. And I landed on a show called Next Big Star with Ed McMahon, and I was a grand champion winner on that show. It's like the highlight of my career, right? And I had a record deal on the table. They Googled my name. They found out that I was gay. And then all of a sudden, everything completely was just taken right out from underneath me. The contract was gone. My team tried to get me married. They tried to change the music that I sang. I mean, everybody was in a frantic trying to make all this stuff happen. And I just was like, kind of at that pinnacle of my career where I was like, do I really want to live a lie? And do I just, my ethics were too important to me. I want to show up authentically me. I want to be real with people. I love people, and I can't stand someone who lies. And so I just was like, what do I do? And, it took me back to being a kid where I was relentlessly bullied for being different. I was a creative kid. I didn't play sports. I was from Dallas, Texas. And I mean, all my brothers were like star athletes. Me, I was playing the piano. I was singing. I was doing, theater. I was the kid with the jazz hands. I was a lot more just theatrical. And then, it took me to, and when you're bullied, you don't even know what the things mean that people say, but all you hear is you're not good enough, right? You feel like whatever you're saying to me right now, I don't even know what that means, but that means I'm not good enough. And then, from being in the church, I mean, I've been in the ministry my entire life, and I was completely removed from it all for being gay. And the spiritual abuse was so unbelievable. And it wasn't done out of hatred or ugliness. It was just out of their belief of this is how it is. And we're concerned for your soul. I understand it. But the spiritual abuse that it put me through was, again, you're not good enough. You're never good enough. And so I'm sitting here at this crossroads of like, what do I do in my life? What am I going to do differently? How am I going to approach this? Am I going to just keep running and keep trying to be somebody that I'm not? And that's the day that I decided that I was going to become the kind of coach that I so badly needed in my own life. I have a music education degree. And so I was like, I'm going to start teaching these kids. I'm going to start teaching people how to sing and how to be their authentic selves. And I was really good at it. I just naturally was great at doing it. And what my secret has always been is creating unshakable confidence If you've got unshakable, it's getting someone to know. I mean, there's quite a few steps, but the key thing is understanding who you are at your core and showing up in that power and in that strength, rather than trying to, I always give the example of everybody wants to be Christina Aguilera, but it's quite all right to be Britney Spears, and we all laugh about it. It's like, oh my God, that's funny. But Britney Spears has had more global impact and success. She has more accolades. I mean, the girl just keeps putting out number ones. And I'm always like, it's okay to be Britney Spears, but you just need to know who you are, because I always say it's, 20% is talent. And this goes, I know we're talking music right now, but what I'm doing with my life, the rest of my life, is helping people just like me and you to be able to walk in our unshakable confidence, to unleash our rock star, because, 20% is talent. 80% is what you do with that talent. It's how you sharpen that talent. It is the confidence you have when you use that talent. And it's how you brand that talent to outshine everyone else, all the other outside noise. So I truly believe that every single one of us are designed to unleash our rock star, unleash that greatness within us, and step out into the world with that. Because if you're not stepping into your greatness, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're also robbing every single one of us of our blessings. And you're so important. You're key to this universe. It's key to mankind. It is imperative that you step into your greatness so that we can evolve and raise the vibrational level of this planet. And I'm talking about vibration. Everybody's like, what is vibration? Well, from a music standpoint, if you have two tuning forks, and we use them to tune pianos, whatever, and I hit this one over here, and I'm going to get my fingers in the screen, but it's like ding, ding, ding. And you stop this one over here. Where are my fingers? Oh my gosh, there we are. This one right here will vibrate at that same note, ding, ding, without ever touching it. So our energy that we put out into the universe, man, that is the vibrational level that we're needing to step up into. So I need everybody to unleash their rock star, unleash their greatness, so that we can step up this world. We're in a mess right now. We've always been a mess, but we just know it's really a mess just because it's so in our face every day. But the level of suicides that we have, the anxiety, the depression, the sicknesses, it is so unreal, and we all need to step up into our power.
I'm glad you're making those points about the suicide and depression, anxiety, and all these things that people face, because no matter what someone's background is, I feel the exact same way, because there are so many people, whether I talk to them in personal, business, whatever the case is, it's like you can be looking like things are going fantastic on the outside, but what's going on internally? One of my motivations for starting the show is to exponentially elevate the identity of humanity. And you can be well off or in a horrible spot and just not know who you are, which I believe is the reason that it leads to all these other unfortunate things, because people just don't understand and they feel like they have to put on this facade for someone.
Yeah, 100%. It's just both my parents last year were diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. And there's a machine that we found. It's called the Rife machine, and now they've got other machines, whatever. But every cell has a frequency that it can be destroyed, and so they hook this machine up to them that sends frequencies to their bodies to destroy the cancer. And it is unbelievable what it does. So it's like my dad's frequencies are going to be different than the frequencies that my mom puts into her body, because my dad has prostate cancer and my mom has breast cancer. And so, you know what I mean? So it's amazing that they sit there and hook these things up to themselves, and that frequency just goes through their body and destroys that cancer one cell at a time. It's unbelievable. And so frequency, vibration, it's not just a woo-woo term. It's actually scientific and unbelievable, So my entire career, people have always asked, why do your people always outshine everyone else? And that is because their vibration, when they walk into a room, everybody's like, oh, that kid's got it. They've got the X factor. The X factor is just self-confidence. It is confidence. People don't care how talented you are or how extraordinary your gift may be. If you don't walk in that confidence of knowing exactly who you are, where you're going, what you're wanting to do.
So let me ask you about that confidence. How do you get people to step into it if they're afraid? And you had talked about a couple of points there where sharpening your skills was one of them, and also stepping into your confidence and having it when you walk into the room that people are feeling it.
Well, there are a couple of things. When I start out with someone, first thing is we got to identify your gifts, your abilities, your talents. And most people think that is your hard skill that you've learned, whether that's your computer programming or that's your ability to shoot a three-pointer, whether that is that you can run a mile in 4 minutes. Those are things that you've trained and that you've worked hard to learn. Your gifts and your abilities are things that are truly innately born. When you're born, you have these things, and it's things that are your gifts. When I started in this music business, I didn't really understand the music business because, I came from a life of servitude. Your music was servitude. It was not something that you made money on. It wasn't something that you went out and charged people to do. I was like, oh, wow, you can charge people for this? This is cool, And so I realized I know what my gifts and abilities are, and that is I'm a people person. I am all about creating incredible relationships with people because I truly love people. I mean, I'm a lover of people. And so I'm like that dog that just walks into the party like, hey, how's it going? I'm talking to everybody. So I use my gifts and my abilities to go in and my creative ability. So I use my creativity and my ability, my love of people and caring about people to create incredible relationships, to learn, to grow in this industry. So even though and when I say creativity, I'm not talking about my ability to put together a huge show or because I'm extremely creative that way, but the creativity to problem solve. When somebody tells me no, I will come up with 5 solutions on how we are going to make it happen. Right. And so, I'd always problem solve, and that was my creativity that I was just able to click into it quickly and early on to be able to make things happen. So every single one of us has innate things that we're born with that can overcome inadequacies. It can flaws. It can overcome areas where we're weak. So those are very important things. And I do have that on my website. It's a free download. People can go on there and they can just take kind of like it's a assessment to find out what your top 5 and to really narrow it down to your top 3 gifts on how you can approach the world, how to show up every single day with these gifts, even when you don't have necessary hard skills to prove that. And, people are like, oh, well, you need this too. Hey, it's like, I've got scientific proof that you don't have to have those things, your hard skills set in place, because I've got people every single day who would be considered mediocre talent, mediocre abilities, mediocre gifts, however you want to say that. And they are killing it and smashing it. And people love them. They are showing up and they're, selling out stadiums. And so your voice matters. What you've got to offer matters. And whatever this thing that you've got going on in your head that makes you, that you're fearing, that you think that you're not good enough, screw that. There are people time and time and time again who are walking in complete greatness, who really are probably on the bottom level of the talent spectrum compared to some of the people who are born with extraordinary gifts. Those people rule everybody because their determination, their passion, their preparedness. I mean, there's a lot of things that create self-confidence, but knowing who you are and knowing how to show up in the world is the number one thing. So go to my website, jonathangeorge.com. Get that. It's free. Just download it, do the quick assessment. It's going to take you, 10 minutes to do and, or less, to understand and be like, oh, I can really walk in these powers through whatever situation I have in my life. So that really is the number one thing. And the second thing is identifying what your flaws are, what your weaknesses are. Because as we know, our biggest insecurities come because of we have flaws in our life. We have like, well, I'm not really, I'm not good at that, or we're focusing on the wrong things. If you will know what your flaws are, know what they are so that you can be flawsome. As Tyra Bank always says, flawsome, that has having flaws and still being awesome at the same time, right? So if you can have those flaws and understand them, I look at everything I do is, it's been music forever. But if you study people like Demi Lovato owns her flaws. So the world does what? They fall in love with her more. So she takes ownership of her flaws, her issues, her problems in her life. And she disarms the haters. She disarms the media. She takes control of everything. And she has ownership of who she is. And it makes her that much greater in the eye of the people who follow her. So if you can own your flaws and realize them and just say, yeah, these are my weaker areas, and especially for like leaders, CEOs, whether you're a manager, if you're leading people and you realize what your flaws are and you can show up in the boardroom and say, listen, this is not my strength here. Who can take this? It speaks mountains for you. It makes people fall in love with you. It also allows other people to use their gifts, and it makes people trust you because you're not sitting there trying to micromanage and oversee something that you really don't have any business doing. And it's okay that you don't know how to do something. Just own up to it. Say, hey, this is not my strength. Who wants to take this?
It's reminded me a lot of when Eminem came on the scene here locally in Detroit and then flew out to LA near you. But he was very much the same way with just like, here's who I am, like it or hate it, don't really care.
Yeah, don't care. And it's like honey badgers, just don't care, right? And you just got to go. And the last thing is really taking ownership of who you are in your story, your backstory. At the beginning, I tell my story about what I went through. It took me a long time to be able to talk about that because I felt like everything was about being gay in my life. And I didn't want to talk about being gay. I was like, can I just be the guy? No, I don't want to have to be the gay guy. I just want to be the guy. Right. And people are like, Jonathan, you have to tell your story. And here I am, a branding expert. We build people's brands every single day. And I'm like, you have to own your story. Last season on American Idol, Harper Grace is one of my girls, and she made it to the top 24. And I started working with her. She was 11 years old. And when she came to me, she had just sang the national anthem in front of 40,000 screaming fans. It was a huge soccer game. And it took her over 3 minutes to sing a 90-second song, and because of the echo and the delay, and it was so painful to watch. And it is deemed the world's worst national anthem singer. She's deemed as the world's worst national anthem singer. And if you look it up on YouTube, it's going to pop up with millions of views. And I was like, listen, you have to own up to the story. You're the one who's got to own it. You got to be able to tell the story the way that you want it to be told, and take ownership of it, and everybody's going to love you for it. And she was like, no. And finally, I got her on top of it where she owns it. And she walked on, 15 years old, walked on to American Idol for the auditions in front of all the judges. And that's the first thing that they played was her world's worst national anthem. And then she blew them away. And she got the golden ticket, made it top 24. She made it to the TV parts. She did not continue on to the show, but what she did, she was the number one watched video of the season because of her story. And they brought her back to perform with the top 3 on final night. Just because of her story and her owning it, and her being able to tell this story, laugh about it, joke about it, rather than people sitting there making fun of her or, her being shamed or embarrassed or whatever. So they're just owning it,
You got her to step into her confidence.
Yeah. And she was able to tell it in a way where she felt comfortable and owned it. So, and it's so funny because, when I was stepping out, I've been behind the artist for so long, and now I'm stepping out to being out in the forefront to speak and to work with people. And I'm speaking to huge, stages and for me to tell my story, I was like, oh my God, I'm having to do what I tell everybody else to do. And so it's been a really incredible journey, and it's actually made me that much bigger and better of a coach because I've had to, I've always been open and real about stuff, but to be able to tell that story, to be able to speak it out. So it has given me so much more confidence, even in myself. And so anyway, it's the unshakable confidence. You have to have it in every aspect. I don't care what you're doing. When you go into, say, an ice cream shop and the guy that's serving you, and he's got his head down, hi, how are you doing? How can I help you? No, look up, look at the person in the eye, say, hey, how are you doing today? Even if it's not your personality, you have to learn how to do stuff. You got to learn how to approach people, raise your vibration up, to have confidence, hold your shoulders up, hold your chin up and speak to people,
I remember hearing years ago when people would say, well, I'm not, I want to have a business, but I'm not that type of person. It's like, well, become it.
100%. If you could see behind me, my intention wall is this gigantic intention wall behind it. And my biggest saying is, in order to become, you must be. And here in LA, everybody's like, oh, I'm an aspiring actor. I'm an aspiring singer. I was like, there is no aspiring. You are either a singer or you're not. You're either an actor or you're not. In your mind, you've got to be a doctor. Even though it's taking you 8 years of school, you've got to be a doctor in your eyesight. You're in school to learn how to become a doctor. But in your mind, you're set. You're like, I'm going to be a doctor. I am a doctor. I am a doctor. You know what I mean? And it's going to take you 8 years to build up to that. But it's just like saying, I'm an artist. Well, we've got a lot of work to do before you can be launched and released. But in your mind, you still have to be an artist.
You're already at the final destination. You're just practicing so it comes flawlessly, like you said.
Yeah.
Would you say that Brittany did it better than Christina? Do you think she saw herself earlier on? Or she just knows who she is and she's owning that space and not trying to be something she's not?
Well, here's the thing, is that her team, she had a team of people. Now, she had to do the work, but both of them had great teams behind them. And Brittany had a team that said, listen, you're going to be up against this monster of a singer. Let's do you, and we're going to do this for you. And she honed in on what she was, like the girl next door, but really cute, kind of an innocent, sexy girl. You know what I mean? And so she just, with the right match with the right songs and the right music videos, and she popped out. Right. So, but this just translates to every single one of us. It's like, how do you start a company selling cups when there's already 500 and you're up against a massive solo cup? You know what I mean? You've got to do you've got to find out what that is, and you got to figure out how to approach it and tell the story behind that so people can get behind it. Buyers today are all about, here's one of the other things about creating self-confidence is understanding what your core values are. I'm a neurolinguistic program. I have a master's practitioner's license in neurolinguistic programming. And that's just retraining your brain how to think about things. And one of the things that I learned in that course when I was taking these courses was core values. And I did not realize how important core values are to every aspect of our life. And, whether that's your spirituality, freedom, love, kindness, joy, laughter, whatever that core value is that when you have your top 5 core values, you will know how to step into every aspect of your life. And now buyers are so tapped into what is important to them that the AI, the artificial intelligence, is going after your core values. It's going after your values, it's not going after your necessarily, what you're buying or whatever. It's going after your values to know how to be able to, send information to you. So it's a very powerful thing. And so that's the other thing that is understanding your core values so you know how to step up and show up into the world. You know how to approach relationships. It's like even in a marriage, if you don't know what your core values are, that marriage is not going to be a healthy one. But if both people know what their core values are, they're going to be like, do you match 80% of my core values? Yes or no? If it's not, then you need to be out of that relationship. Doesn't matter how much you like the person, you're not going to be happy and fulfilled in that relationship because that person doesn't match your core values. So, if you're working at a company, you need to know what your core values are in order to be able to say, hey, this company doesn't match my core values. I'm going to step out, So that's another one of the things is understanding your core values. And what's incredible is that most of the time your core values match your talents.
That is some great expert authority insight. I want to ask you, is Harper Grace your biggest success story in transformation? Because that was pretty impressive, but I know you have a whole slew of them.
Oh my God, no, I've got so many incredible, I've been doing this for 20 years. So, so many of the kids that you've seen on every movie, TV show, Disney, Nickelodeon, Kids Bop, your to top movies that they're sharing the screen with, Tom Cruise. And it's, every person, truly the transformation I've got right now. I just had Michaela Phillips, was a Golden Buzzard winner on America's Got Talent, and she's actually on American Idol this season. And she was somebody who's just like, it's really funny because she was on America's Got Talent and she's by far one of the most talented kids I've ever met in my life. And she's funny and she's beautiful and she's just got every aspect that you can imagine to her, to be a superstar. And she was competing against, this is how powerful your story is. So she was competing against these people and they put her on the, semifinals, and she was up against this good looking doctor who, fosters children. And, it kind of just wrenches your heart and you fall in love with this guy. He was a good singer, but not like unbelievable. Right. Then there was another little girl whose parents, moved to the States so that she could fulfill her entire, dream of becoming a singer. Well, they got to Michaela and they just showed her as just this girl that was kind of goofy, sitting in her house. Her mom's a teacher, her dad's a fireman, la, la, la. No specialness about her whatsoever. And after the show, I said, Michaela, just want you to know you will not be going through. And it's not because anything that you did or you didn't do. It's because they did not produce a great story about you. Nobody was attached to you. Nobody felt you. And I was right about that. And she didn't make it through, even though she freaking blew them out of the water. But it's really important that our stories are told, that we share our stories. If you want to be, every entrepreneur needs to understand your story, understand what makes you click into what you do. Just like my story of why I got into developing people was because of my own issues and torment that I went through, people pushing me down, never feeling like I was good enough, feeling like I couldn't show up in the world authentically me. And my whole thing is now I'm like a beast about this. I'm so passionate about it. And I get pissed off when people are not walking in their full potential because they're allowing fear, self-judgment, judgment of other people to block them from walking in their greatness. And and every person that's listening to this, watching this, you got to get up off your butt and step into your power. Stop making excuses. Stop being addicted to the feeling of I'm not good enough or somebody's going to judge me. Forget all that stuff. Step up to the batting plate and start swinging. And then swing rebelliously against people who say anything to you. If that fear steps up, it's like this. It's like if there was a rattlesnake on your leg and it kept biting you, what are you going to do? You're going to just stand
chop
there
its head off.
Yeah, chop its head off. Step away from it. I mean, you're going to, you know what I mean? Like the poison's going to be there, and you're going to feel it. You got to get that shot, right? But you are not going to sit there and allow that snake to continuously bite you. And that's what fear is. Fear just is like a snake that just keeps biting you and biting you and biting you. And it's just cut at the head off of it. Be rebellious. And that fear, you're going to have to fight through fear almost continuously until you become such a practice that it's like I'm fostering a dog right now, and I have to continuously say the same thing over and over until he trains to pee and poop outside in certain places. You know what I mean? And it's just the practice of keep showing up and keep doing something. And
it's that repetition and consistency that you're talking about,
because it makes you prepared. And, it's like I will run a number with an artist before they go on to a big show over and over. And people are like, oh, my God, I can't do it. I was like, no, you're going to do this until you're going to throw up, because you've got to be so prepared that when you step out onto that stage, anything could happen and nothing will throw you off. You will just keep going because it is in your muscle memory, and your confidence is going to it's going to be on a whole other level when you step out on that stage.
So you train them, don't do it till you get it right. You train them, do it till you can't get it wrong.
Right. You better believe it.
Nice. Quick question for you before we go to the sponsor. I call this the wheel of whatever. We're going to spin the wheel here. Who is someone you'd love to work with that you haven't yet?
Oh, my God. Well, as a singer, Garth Brooks. I would love to do a very incredible duet with Garth Brooks. I know I'm one day, when I was on a Next Big Star, they asked me who my idol was, and it was Garth Brooks. And I really thought they were going to bring him onto the show, and I was going to get to do a duet with him, like, and I was so upset. That's the only thing I cared about. But he's somebody that I actually want to work professionally with. And that would be that. But as far as like working with somebody to help them, I see people every single day on TV. I see them in the world. I see CEOs speaking, and I'm just like, man, I would love to work with that person to help them step out of this thing that they're in, so that they can really be an emotionally intelligent, powerful human being that's confident and leading and stepping up into their greatness, so that they can help lead our world even further. And, so many sports figures, they're living in their little la-la land of lots of money and just blowing in mansions and cars and, rather than actually going out in the world and doing, not saying that everybody's like that, but so many, you know what I mean? And so if I could just help people walk into their power, God, just so that we could, they could really make change in this planet in such a powerful way.
That's awesome. I can't wait to connect you with more people I know, and I'll see what I can do with Garth Brooks. He is cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to thank our sponsor and come back for the Imperfect Action Round. Invest automatically, save for later, and spend today. That's why I love Acorns. I used to think spare change didn't make a difference, and saving and investing was an old-fashioned manual process. It's not, and it's a game changer. If you're not leveraging compounding interest in your business and life, automatically, you're missing out. Acorns not only makes saving and investing easy and automatic, it makes it even more valuable by investing with diversified portfolios, spare change, extra cash, and rounding up everyday transactions. You can even set recurring monthly investments in the amount you desire. To make good great, there is also a debit card option that will continue to help you save and invest even further when you spend. Plus, no minimum balance and overdraft fees. Now, for the cherry on top. They have partnered with 250-plus companies and brands, and growing, with their Found Money program to invest back a percentage into your account with the everyday purchases when you shop.
2 of which you're probably listening to this right now through an Amazon or Apple device. Get started profiting from your everyday life and business simply and easily today at eainterviews.com/acorns. Once again, that's eainterviews.com/acorns. And we are back with the Imperfect Action Round. Jonathan, are you ready to take imperfect action?
Let's do it.
First question I have for you. These are 60-second answers, short response.
Before you go into this, you have to understand that I'm a perfectionist in everything that I do. And this is probably the most difficult thing that I have worked through is to take imperfect action, because done is better than nothing.
Perfect.
So, right.
All right. Well, I sincerely appreciate you telling me that. So I'm giving you 30 seconds then.
All right. Do it.
First question. What is the fastest path to the cash in your experience?
There is no fast path. It's just hard work, and you got to work your butt off. And it's really taking action every single day towards anything that you want to do. You got to have that vision. You got to know what clear intention from A to Z where you're going, and start taking action every day to that.
Great answer. Great answer. Number 2, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way they can fix it?
Imposter syndrome. Everybody trying to be like everyone else and not showing up authentically who they are. And that is just being confident in who you are and showing up in that power and in that strength. Because when you have imposter syndrome, people don't trust you at all.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because we don't know who we are. We don't know how to show up in the world. So we're looking at what somebody else is doing. What is this person doing on social media? If this person's doing this, how are we showing up? And we just don't know how to really show up in our power because we don't know who we are.
That's deep. That's a great expert authority insight. Number 3, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
100% is knowing what your core values are and delivering up on those core values in your business. And for me, integrity is everything. Integrity is honesty. It is loyalty and doing what you say you're going to do. And so for some people, that's what customer service is. For me, that is integrity. And if you don't have those things, people will never trust you. And the other thing I'm going to say is that always show up in love. When you show up in the world in love and you show up, it doesn't matter. You could be having the worst fight and you can be like, oh, but if you will say, you know what? I love this person. I'm going to lead with love and care and kindness towards people. I have an impeccable track record of people I've worked with through 20 years of living in LA that I can call anytime, any day, and they will pick up a phone. And it didn't matter if we had a falling out, didn't matter if there was a misunderstanding about money. They always will pick up the phone because I always treated them the way that I wanted to be treated.
That's something that everyone should implement because that's not the case with most people.
Oh, no.
I'm glad you're doing it.
It's people are like, what can I get out of everything? And they don't put other people first. And it's something that is missing. And I tell you what, it is effective. You're building your relationships is effective. And it only takes one person to talk negatively about you to destroy your business and destroy your reputation. Because, I mean, I've worked with people and I'll have a casting director call me or a CEO call me and say, hey, what do you think about this person? I said, I'm going to share my experience with you. I mean, today I had somebody call me about somebody and said, hey, what's going on with this person? I said, well, this is what I love about them, but just be aware this is what I encountered. And you can make your own decisions, not talking negatively about people, but just sharing my honesty and my experience with somebody. And it only takes one person to speak negatively about you. And so treat people, you want people, think about it. What emotional aftertaste do you want to leave with people? You control that. Now, it doesn't mean that you let people take advantage of you, but you stand up what is this emotional aftertaste that I'm going to leave with somebody who's worked with me? And they may say, you know what, Jonathan, he didn't fit what we needed. We needed somebody differently, but man, do we love working with him. man, did he not? He delivered. He did what he said he was going to do. It may not be what we liked, but you're not going to hear somebody say that, I was dishonest. I was just, I was not loyal. I treated somebody poorly. You're not going to hear that stuff.
It's going back to lifting that vibration.
Yeah.
You can't operate. You can't operate at a high level if you're thinking like at a low one.
And and what that's a great point, because we're all about the law of attraction. I mean, it's just how it works. And it's like, well, I'm going to write that I want this $1 million house, or I want this relationship, or I want this business to take off. Well, you better make sure that your vibration is matching that of which you are seeking. Because if you're not that same vibrational level, it's not going to come back to you. So you got to make sure your mindset, your heart, everything is vibrating at that certain level to attract what you're wanting.
I love that you're sharing this. I love that. I love it. Last question, well, second from last. What is a book that has made a big difference in your life?
Oh man, I always get this. There's so many books. I'm like looking at all these different books. I will have to say this is that, I was raised on the Bible. I'm not a religious person at all. I'm very spiritual, but the Bible has been one of some of the most basic common sense things that have impacted my life. It's given me wisdom. It's given me knowledge and power of just how to treat people, how to show up in the world maturely and with emotional intelligence. And it's been, a very powerful thing for me, just the life lessons out of it. So many stories that you can take and it trains your mind to be like, how do I show up in the world? How do I treat people? And that's really been the basis of who I am. And I'd have to say the Bible is that.
That is a great recommendation, and it's the best book I could recommend also. So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah.
Well, I have absolutely shared this. Where can people learn more about you?
JonathanGeorge.com, and it's like Jonathan, JONATHAN George.com. It's also at UnleashYourRockstar.com. We're on social media, Jonathan George, also social media. I mean, come get involved, like stand up, man, say, hey, listen, I want to join what's going on. I want to join this movement. I want to be powerful. I want to walk in my greatness. I mean, who doesn't want to do this? It just blows my mind. Like, step up and be powerful. Like, just step up and own your greatness. And so you can join me in any of those platforms, and make sure you go to my website, download that free download. It's just free. It's easy. I mean, it'll take you, 10 seconds to download it, so that you can sit down. It's just a little booklet that you just kind of fill out to figure out what your true gifts are, what your innate talents are, and your abilities.
I would like to think I have a good idea, but I got to be honest. I'm excited to check it out and see what I can round off and shape up, if you will.
Yeah. And the other thing is you can also download, there's also another free download on there about your core values. So you can you can grab that too.
Well, I do appreciate it. Yeah. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed day. And y'all show up and be some freaking rock stars in this world. All right. We need you.
All right, Expert Authority World. We have another great episode today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, and God bless. Why every business needs a book, including yours. Would you like to save 5+ hours with every prospect, generate more leads, and profit in your business now? Visit businessbookchecklist.com and learn how you can implement this in your business today. Spare change? How's that going to make a difference? I know that's what I thought before I started investing with Acorns. Throwing change in a jar is not very leverage and time-consuming, but what about all the transactions you don't use cash for? Like majority? Acorns not only invest your spare change automatically with roundups, it also lets you add a preset amount to each transaction regardless. It's pretty inspiring to see how quickly and easily you can end up with a pile of cash instead of a pile of receipts. Get started simply and easily today at eainterviews.com/acorns. Once again, that's eainterviews.com/acorns. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you got a lot out of it. I know I sure did. If you haven't done so already, I invite you to subscribe to the show. And also be sure to check out eainterviews.com for complete show notes, the full interview video experience, links to the resources we mentioned, and more. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow.